one of the best things you can do to build your wealth, especially through investing, is to have an investing plan. And for that, you need to set some investing priorities. So, as you get that together, you need to think about that. So in this installment of Mediocre Money, I'm going to talk about how I set my own investing priorities and where they are. Now, whatever you decide to do on your own depends on your own priorities, where you're at in your investing and money journey, and what professional advice you get. So make sure you think through these things and also do what's best for you, because even though this is what works for me, it may not work for you. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, my first step when I am thinking about my investing priorities is I always start with that long-term financial freedom / retirement / whatever you want to call it, long-term wealth building, whatever. So a lot of people refer to it as retirement, but I don't have a lot of aspirations for traditional retirement. But I do like to use tax advantage retirement accounts like the Roth IRA, a SEP IRA for my business, and also a health savings account. So, and I have 401k money from way back in the day. So I like to use these things for my long-term financial freedom. And I like to set that up first, right? So these accounts help me accumulate money on a tax advantaged basis, and I can use that money later in life. And so what I did like 20 years ago was figure out how much money I need to set aside each month to reach that long-term goal. And that's what I set aside. There are a number of calculators you can use. Stocks for the Week has a wealth calculator. Todd Tresidder has a number of great calculators, and I will include those in the description. But right now I'm in a position where I can no longer contribute to a Roth IRA, but I put money in my SEP IRA and I put money in my health savings account. And so these accounts help me with my long-term wealth building. And I put that on automatic. Those are the things that I fund first. Make sure that my future self is taken care of. I don't get too crazy with it. I don't put in a ton. You might only need to set aside a couple $100 depending on like the younger you are, the less you can set aside each month. And the older you are, the more you have to set aside each month to reach those goals. So start there. Now, once you've got that going, you can divvy up the rest of the money that you plan to invest based on what matters most to you. So for me, an emergency fund is a priority, and so I have some liquid cash, and then I also have a taxable investment account that I use to back up my emergency fund. So I've got that covered so that if there's a financial emergency, I can get on that money and I can figure that out and take care of it. Next, I'm like, okay, well, I've got a travel fund and my son's 529. Well, my son's almost 20 now, so I don't actually have to put money in the 529 anymore. But back in the day when I was saving up for his college education, I had to decide how much do I want to put in the travel fund, how much do I want to put in the 529. And you kind of have to weigh that. How much sacrifice are you willing to make for your kids? That whole student loan versus, no loans for retirement versus student loans. There's all of that to think about. But the reality of the situation is you kind of need to weigh those. And so in the end, when my son was younger, I actually put more in. So I had, let's say I had, a few extra dollars each month. I would say, okay, I'm going to put 80% of these extra dollars toward my son's 529, and then I'll put the other 20% toward my travel fund. And then as my son grew and as we got closer to college and as the account was growing, I kind of started changing those numbers a bit, right? So I kind of adjusted. And that's the other thing. You can tweak your investing priorities as you go along. The important thing is to have a plan set out, a roadmap set out, and to know the purpose of the money. And once you have that figured out, you can tweak as you go. And so now, of course, we're to the point where 0% goes into my son's 529 because now we're in the withdrawal phase while he's in college. And 100% of that extra money goes into my travel fund. So now that my son's in college and I have more time to travel, I can afford to do that. So really think about the timelines you're going to be doing and how they fit together, because you can invest for multiple goals at once. You just have to know where your priorities lie and where your values are and what matters most for you. So what about you? What kinds of things do you invest for? What kind of goals do you have to invest for? And what makes it all worth it for you? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time for an installment of Mediocre Money.